What's up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? Hello, hello, hello. It is the Unfiltered Experience with Christopher Rausch and Scott Goyette. Can you hear me, Scott?
I can hear you. You sounded good. Real good.
You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Awesome. You guys are with the Unfiltered Experience with Christopher Rausch and Scott Goyette. We're having a little technical difficulty here with my computer, so I'm on my laptop. So, yeah, pardon the disruption. But anyways, thank you guys for spending your Friday nights with us here on the Unfiltered Experience. It is our intention every single week to bring you unfiltered conversations with either ourselves or our guests, designed to move your perspectives forward, expand your horizons, and really get you to have an awesome kick-ass life on your terms. So we're excited to have you guys here with us tonight, and we're looking forward to having a great conversation. And how are you doing, Scott? It's been a minute since we talked. It's been a crazy week. It's already gone by so fast.
Yeah, that's the world now, isn't it? It's like you talk, and then 7 minutes later, here we are again. It's like literally we get off the show, you're hanging out with your kid and your wife, and we have dinner, and we're like, what just happened? Here we are again. Like the world is moving so quick. It's crazy.
It goes by so fast. And you were just at a birthday party, right?
I did. So this is another interesting story. So my wife's cousin, they were living out in the Sonoma area, and they were getting wildfires and all kinds of stuff. So they decided to move to Austin. So they just got in this week, and we decided to meet up with his wife is actually celebrating her birthday tomorrow. So we did a little quick surprise party for her. But I could tell you some crazy stories about them that it's amazing that when we look at all the craziness going on in the world, one thing we really got to realize is how deeply connected we still are and how small this world is. Because as nutty as this sounds, they went to Costa Rica a year ago, and they were like, where do they want to move? Maybe Costa Rica, maybe Austin. They were looking at all these places. They stay at a certain place and hire a private chef. Guess who that private chef is? One of our good friends out of any place in the world. And they start talking about us. Like 2 months later, that are at a retreat, and it's up in like Washington State, and they meet somebody. Guess who it is? It's Emilio. Remember on our show, Emilio?
Yeah.
Another friend.
Whoa.
It's weird. They're like, everywhere we go, your name pops up. So it was fitting that we had to move to Austin. It was so crazy. And they're just like, meeting our friends in all different parts of the world. It's such a small planet. It really is.
It truly is. That's awesome. That is awesome. We have Mary Kay in the house. What's up, Mary Kay? She says, woohoo. Happy Friday, gentlemen. Thank you for being here. We got Lee in the house. What's up, brother Lee?
He goes, and in a couple weeks, right? Or next week or something.
And we can hear you. Yeah, I'd have to double check. My computer is like still fucking off or something like that. So good thing for laptops. Good thing for technology. Yeah, man, it's been a good week. It's crazy. Barb went to Vegas, so I've got Jackson for the weekend. So he's downstairs, hopefully not destroying things. He wanted to do stuff on his own. He's like, Daddy, I could paint the car by myself. We're doing a model car. And I'm like, no, don't. Wait till I get back down there. So
it might be painted. Let's just be honest. It might be painted.
Yeah, no, I hope not. I was like, please, dude, just listen to me. The kid has no listening skills. He's like, oh, you said something? Oh, here, I'm going to go do it anyway. Did you have that with Kayla?
I have that with you right now as my friend. I'm just teasing. I'm giving you a time. Yeah, of course you get that. But again, that's us too. Like we're the same kind of people. I'm sure as a 5-year-old kid right now, you and I would be painting that car, period.
I used to paint Hot Wheels all the time. My mom would be like, I just bought you that Hot Wheel, and I'd paint it different colors and shit like that. But no, I'm excited for our guest tonight. I've known him particularly on Facebook for a while. I know he's a fellow coach. He's a mindset mastery coach and helps people deal with stress and overwhelm. And he's got just a great heart and a great mind about impacting the world and moving the world forward. So without any further ado, please welcome to the Unfiltered Experience, Mr. Dave Gieselman. Dave, what's going on, brother? How are you doing tonight?
What's good, gentlemen? I am great. It's been a beautiful day. And I'm excited to have this conversation. You and I, Christopher, have been traveling around each other in some of the same circles for a really long time, and we've commented on each other's posts, on each other's lives, and every time I see you live, I try to show up and dump some love on you. But Travis Barton is a good friend of both of ours, and so it's been cool, kind of getting to know you at distance, and it's great to finally have this conversation.
It is. It's way long overdue, and thank you for spending your Friday night with us. I know you got a lot of things going on. It's nice to know you're here in Southern California with me, so that's cool. We'll have to definitely hook up in person one of these days. So for the benefit of everybody watching this, tell us a little bit about your backstory. I know that you've got some experience. Scott was just talking about Chef, and I was like, oh, there's no way that he knows you. But talk to us a little bit about your experience, and then we'll jump into the conversation tonight and move some people's perspectives.
Sure. So I'm a retired chef. I spent better than 25 years in high-end hotels and restaurants here in Los Angeles. I got started very, very young, and got into, because I started so young, I spent a good part of my youth around adults. So as a very young man, I was doing very adult things, and ended up a homeless alcoholic drug addict by 24. And at 24, I got sober, and began and really kind of began a second life. In that life, I got to move back into my chef career. I got married. I have a beautiful 18-year-old son, and divorced with love, divorced with kindness and compassion. I'm now remarried, and when I retired from professional kitchens in 2017, I was a competitive Brazilian jiu-jitsu player, and so there's just a lot of like pieces of me that I've fallen into over the years, and really gotten into coaching, mindset, how to manage absolutely unmanageable, completely stressful, zero tolerance situations. And that's what I teach now.
Wow. Talk to us about that recovery process. I know you had mentioned that on some of the stuff that you provided me with. Talk to us about that process and what it took for you to recognize where you were at, take ownership of that, and then take action to rehabilitate yourself.
You know what? I tell you, I wish this was a cooler story. The truth is I discovered alcohol, and I discovered, drugs, and they took me out of me. They gave me the ability to feel comfortable in my own skin. And like so many, like so many addicts and alcoholics, it just tore me apart. My beginning to end was 10 years. And by the end of that 10 years, I was totally homeless. I was a mess. My step into recovery was like as benign as anything else. Like my last day drinking was not, there was nothing happened dramatically. Like it was not my shittiest day. It was just another shitty day in a long string of shitty days. And what happened was I was completely homeless, completely drunk. And July 25th, 1999, I was walking down an alley, and I saw some guys smoking cigarettes, and I'm like, and like a good bum, I asked them if I could bum a couple, and they said, yeah, sure. And they go, hey man, you want to come in here and have a donut and a cup of coffee? We got donuts and coffee in here if you want some. And I'm like, well, what do you got going on in there? And they say it's 12-step recovery. And I'm like, well, what is that? And these guys saw me coming a mile off, and they didn't lead with sobriety. They didn't lead with transforming your life. They go, bro, don't even worry about that. We got free shit. You want to come in here, get out of the sun? It was the tail end of July, and it was in Pasadena, and it was hotter than heck. And like they go, we got coffee, we got donuts, we got AC. Nobody will mess with you. Come on and sit down. And so my introduction into a world of sobriety was that people were kind to me. People were nice, and I sat in that meeting room, and that first time I realized that I came to the realization that if I raise my hands and my name's Dave, I got a problem, that it was all coffee, cigarettes, and donuts that I could eat. Right. And so now I'm just a homeless guy with a hustle. Right. Like so whatever you guys are, that's now what I am. And so I'm just going to do whatever it is you guys do. Now I'm just trying to figure out how to walk and talk like a duck real quick. Right. Like whatever you guys do, I'm going to start doing. My biggest fear is they were going to realize that I wasn't an alcoholic, that I wasn't a drug addict, and they were going to throw me out. Right. And so I just did all the things, and I sat in a million meetings, and they said I needed a sponsor thing. So I got a sponsor thing, and they said I needed a book. And so I got a book, and then I went through this process, and they said, okay, so now that you've been through this process, you've been sober a minute, you need to take other people through that process. And what was interesting is, it's time for you to become selfless. It is time for you to give back what was so freely and lovingly given to you. And in that, I found myself in the experience of of giving to others, of helping others out of the hell that I was so familiar with, I absolutely found like this being, right? And my entire life today, every single piece of it revolves around serving others in one way or the other, putting my hand out, helping people achieve something that maybe they want or don't even know is available to them, and walking them through the fire of transformation and helping them experience that. And it's been now almost 24 years.
That's amazing.
Bravo.
So
Is he painting the car? You just had that. He's painting the car look.
I don't know. And I heard something. I'm like, whatever.
Right.
So Dave, Chris and I are a big fan of, anything that we engage in with processes, and then flipping the script from that of what I learned, I want to go and teach myself.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a beauty to that. So I'll tell you something I heard a long time ago, and it sounds like it might sync nicely into this conversation. A friend of mine was saying, where do you want to find enlightenment? Do you want to go up on a hill and be alone and kind of find everything in yourself? Because that's an option, and monks do that. And a lot of people go into solitude, Buddha, Jesus. I mean, you kind of go walk alone for a bit and kind of take a depth, look at yourself. But one of the hardest places to do it, at least we feel this way, is to do it in the midst of the noise, the chaos, and then share that while everything is going on. And I'm not saying it's easy to go sit in quiet in a monastery on a hill and find out who Scott Goyette really is in the inside. But I think there's a beauty to doing it and then becoming the light for the next person. Talk about that transition with us in that process where you went from, here's Dave, working on Dave, the inner work, and now becoming the light, whether it's sharing the process, being an example for others. I think that's a place where a lot of us can get stuck. We're doing the inner work, and a big part of the inner work is the next step. So talk about that step, right now, where was that breakthrough? How can we get people to get there, inspiring others to get to that space where they're sharing with others and the collective?
So no, it's great. And is really important. And, like so many healers, and you guys are both coaches, so you guys are healers, you guys know, and you guys know better than anybody that healers don't heal because we're out of some altruistic sense of anything, or we have something. Healers heal because it is in helping others that we heal ourselves. Absolutely, I've never met a healer who didn't do it so that they could heal themselves. And when I was in my recovery process and it was time for me to start working with others, one of my mentors told me, some people will ask what this entire process is about. What's this whole thing about? And some will say it's about love and tolerance. It's about service. It's about this. And he goes, and another way to look at it is it's about humility and responsibility. And I like humility and responsibility. Humility and responsibility to me sounds like shovels hitting dirt, right? It sounds to me like this is where the work happens. I'm a chef. I'm as blue collar as they come. I am as hands-on as they come. Let's get down and dirty. I like work and anything that sounds like honest work. And so when I heard that, the next step for me was a path of humility and responsibility, that everything I owe, everything that I have now, I owe to scores of men and women who found this same solution, and because somebody helped them out of the hole. And this is the analogy is, somebody helped me out of the hole. And as they were helping me to clamber out, what they said was, as soon as you get out of the hole, it is now your responsibility to turn around and reach back into the hole. Not after you get your feet, not after you kind of square things away, not after you get the car, the apartment, and the girl, none of that. The moment you are out of the hole, it is your responsibility to turn around and reach back into the hole and start pulling people out. And I loved that. I can absolutely do what you guys did with me. I can treat kindness. I can take them through this process. I didn't think of any of it. This is not the Dave program of sobriety. This was simple 12 step, and I could do that. And so in doing so, and I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of alcoholics and addicts all over the world, men and women. And in that process, I began working with non-alcoholics and non-addicts who suffered a lot of the same challenges. The alcoholics and addicts don't have like the market cornered on dumb decisions, don't have the market cornered on selfishness, self-centeredness, fear-based behavior. But we won a genetic lottery, and some of us can't pull ourselves out of it in and of our own accord. Right. If it was time for me to stop and I could and did, that would make me by definition not an alcoholic addict, period. I needed something outside of myself to get that. And because I needed something outside of myself to get that, I had to become something outside of somebody else to help them with that as well.
Ooh, that is beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. What part, Scott and I talk a lot about, empathy and forgiveness and understanding. And as far as, part of the healing process, no matter whether it's been addiction or self-sabotage or whatnot, what role has that played in your life? And what advice could you give to others who might be struggling with that empathy and forgiveness aspect for themselves and also for others?
You know what? A lot of what I experienced, and a lot of what a lot of people experience when they fight with this, they find it difficult to extend empathy and forgiveness to themselves. And I am the most important thing in the world, or I am the biggest piece of shit in the world, are the same level of grandiosity, right? It's the same level. It's the same, right? Like I am such garbage. I am unworthy. I am this, I am that. When we talk to ourselves that way, it's still grandiosity. I'm still the number one best piece of crap that nobody comes close. And I am singularly on this earth unworthy of empathy and forgiveness. And it's garbage. It's garbage. We tell ourselves that because it's the same pattern of self-sabotage. It's the same pattern of re-victimization that we watch people, trauma survivors go through, that we watch, children of abuse who are now adults kind of go through and over and over. We watch people who have taken on the narratives that they were fed as children or that they came up with in their minds. And just because I think it doesn't make it fact. Right. And so being able to help people see that they are just as human, that they are just equally worthy and deserving of love and empathy and compassion is huge.
So Dave, I think you're 1,000% on point there. And one thing I see across society is the illusion that a drug user or abuser or an alcoholic is somehow a bad person or different than 99% of us. And one thing I'd love to talk to you about, since we're on this topic specifically, is I can tell you for a fact that I could very easily use alcohol, drugs, sex, whatever, as an escape method to get out of my own head, to pacify my own traumas. Now, some people will say, well, Scott, you're really healthy and you're better than that because you'll put it into your work or be a great athlete or be a good friend or whatever. So here's the thing. All of those things are addictions, back to your point, to fill my cup up so I can feel worthy, so I can help the next person out of the hole. So what can we do collectively to start healing ourselves internally? Because let's even poke a small hole in the idea of the 12-step program. It's still replacing one thing with another. There still has to be some deep healing. I agree with it 1,000%. I agree, heal yourself and help the other person. But I also think the work, and you might agree with this or not, the work has to continue inside for all of us so that at some point it's literally all external. We're full.
Mm.
And so one of the things I notice myself doing when I think I'm momentarily healed or in a better place is, no, I'm just playing more basketball. No, I'm doing a little more work. No, I'm doing a little more shit around the house. It doesn't mean that if you took those things away from me, I suddenly wouldn't be doing lines of cocaine or getting drunk at a bar. What it means is I'm really, really good at refocusing.
Right.
That's a great point.
So I guess my big question is for people who are lifelong refocusers and looking down at somebody else because they've chosen another vehicle to manage their trauma. First and foremost, how do we maybe switch to one that's less abusive to self? And secondly, how do we do the inner work simultaneously so that we can be there to pick the next person up out of the hole?
Absolutely. So there's two pieces there, and one of it is, and this is it's as old as mankind, is the perception of what alcoholics and drug addicts are doing, what is fueling their behavior, and I can absolutely guarantee you that an alcoholic or a drug addict in fully in their illness, they're not making choices. They are acting, they are behaving in a way that there are no alternatives. I know at the very end, for me, the idea of a day without a drink was more terrifying than another day drinking. Like the idea of facing myself. Nobody's choosing homelessness. Nobody. Sure. Nobody is choosing that way of life. Nobody's going, yeah, I just don't want to work. I'd rather sit, behind a dumpster and do drugs all day. No, like nobody's making that decision. So understanding that these people are not, they are at war with something that is bigger than them, stronger than them, absolutely guaranteed to kill them, period, unless something intervenes and helps them out. And so, the 12 another really strong misconception about 12-step work is that it's substituting one thing for another. And what it does is it is a spiritual process. And regardless of what you believe, and I'm not here to get into anybody's conversation about who God is or where God is or what God is or what book you find it, like none of that is relevant. What the 12-step process does is says specifically that I am not the greatest power in the universe, and I need to recognize that. And developing a relationship with something greater than myself is imperative. So developing a relationship with something greater than myself, recognizing the transgressions of my past, making appropriate amends for those things, and then helping others is the name of the game. So as far as, and I am as guilty as you said, and the lifetime process is not like, regardless of all the memes and the characterization on movies and TVs, is not like some lifetime rotation through meetings or calling myself an alcoholic all of my life. That's not the purpose. We have complete recoveries. I am a recovered alcoholic. I do not suffer from my illness, period. But it doesn't mean that I didn't have it. Right. When you recover from an illness, it doesn't mean you didn't have it. And it doesn't mean that if you don't take care of yourself, it won't come roaring back. Right. And so in 12-step, our purpose is to take care of our spiritual selves, which is exactly why, like, my spiritual life and the life that has developed for me in public has been so profound. And so, yes, there's a ton of substitution, right? Like, and I have seen myself, go way off the deep end with spending, we watch people gambling and shopping and this and that and the other thing, and they play, you call this whack-a-mole, right? Like, so you deal with this behavior, then these two behaviors pop up, then you deal with this behavior, and these two behaviors pop up. That's not exclusive to alcoholics and drug addicts. That's the human experience.
No, that's the human trauma response.
Right.
That's exactly my point. Is exactly that. Is by the time that my trauma has amplified itself so much, whether it's alcohol, drugs, or or whatever, at that point, it's tunnel vision. It's kind of like when you talk to somebody who's about to commit suicide, where they're like, everyone's telling them how much they're loved and whatever, and they can't hear it. And by the time you're the addict at something, your trauma has gotten to such a point that this is your chosen escape route, and I just need this because I cannot take anything outside anymore. And so, with that understood, I guess the thing I want people to start really thinking about, have you heard of a Gabor Mate?
Yeah. Oh, Dr. Gabor is amazing.
The reason I was asking is one of the things that I always find, and he talks about trauma being the basis for anything that turns into an addiction or anything, whether it's a workaholic and we call that person healthy because they made a lot of money and now they're some hero when they just chose a different addiction than someone else.
Right. Just a different flavor. And one of the things that I find very interesting is a lot of us think because I could sit here right now and go, well, I don't have any trauma because nobody raped me or nobody beat me to death or nobody, whatever. I can say that everybody else is worse than mine. Well, here's the deal. If someone's saying you're not smart enough repeatedly traumatized me, it's as real as a physical attack. And that's where I see people get lost. Gabor talks about that. And I see a lot of people who are workaholics, they're perfectionists, and these things that are very unhealthy that don't allow us to, Chris and I always talk about, is extend the sense of self. It doesn't allow me to pick the next person up because I'm so focused on my own shit that I can't get out of my own way. And that's where I guess I really want to take this conversation is, how has this process helped you to love yourself enough to extend the sense of self and then find that purpose and value? And it sounds like you're doing it. Oh, totally. So
talk about that.
Yep.
So those behaviors, the perfectionism, the workaholism, the like all of these things, right? They all come from trauma, right?
100%.
And if you come from a particularly traumatic background, particularly, and I'm gonna address some of the women right now, because this is pretty particularly relevant, and you see it in women. And so women who come from a physically abusive, sexually abusive background, who come from very, very like horrible abuse, what you see in many cases is they begin to take on these behaviors that they're coping mechanisms, but the world rewards them, right? So if you are 6 years old and you live in a house where there's horrific abuse, it's emotionally unstable, whatever, and you learn how to really attune yourself to the emotional temperature of absolutely everybody in the room, because that keeps you safe, right? Yep. Then you begin to take that, and you begin to, as you grow, you begin to do it in other places, and the world rewards that. If you get rewarded for your perfect handwriting, if that's what your handwriting is so neat, well done, then you become that perfectionist, and you throw away 100 papers because you got to the last word and you misshaped that letter, and you throw the whole thing out. You become meticulous with money because understanding that money, me having money keeps me safe. Me having money means that no one will be able to remove the roof over my head without my consent. Nobody will be able to take away my car, my means of. This is about safety. And so for a certain amount of time, these coping mechanisms, the world rewards them. We say, you're so neat, you're so organized, you're so meticulous to detail, you can read a room so well, which is why so many women who come from abusive backgrounds do amazing in outside sales, right?
They're every pharmaceutical sales rep. You're so on point. It's amazing.
Right. The problem is at some point they stop serving you, right? At some point. And in the 12-step process, I got to take a real quick look at, I got forced to take a look at my behaviors and the origins of them, right? I can see in very, very clear ways, certain moments in my life and a series of behaviors that immediately began following them. Just an example, my parents got divorced when I was 9 years old, and oddly at 9 years old a pattern of like stealing shit, of a pattern of shoplifting emerged, because I was like, and I got to be able to connect them, understand what I was trying to do. I was trying to surround myself with things. I was trying to make sure that I always had enough. And it's just an example, and it's a hypothetical one, but we watch this all the time, right? And people who are just trying to keep themselves safe, the workaholics, right, are trying to make sure that there's money around them at all time, that they have equated money with safety. They've equated people pleasing with safety, right? So we have behaviors that we now get into, but now it's no longer serving me, right? Now I've been promoted far enough that I don't need to have meticulous attention to detail. I'm now a senior manager. What I need to have is really amazing people skills, right? What I need to have now is really great delegation skills. Look, if I need to control absolutely everything around me in order to feel safe, there is no way I can delegate. There is no way I can manage a team, because I must do it all myself. Otherwise, I'm not safe. And it's it's that inflection point, right? It's that inflection point when we get to watch somebody, and you guys are both coaches, and you meet people in these inflection points all the time. Like, the behavior, what got me here is no longer getting me where I want to go. And we look at those inflection points and go, you have reached a point where your coping mechanisms, that, by the way, you've masqueraded as skill sets for a long time, right, are no longer serving you. What would work better? And it's not about good, bad, right, or wrong. It's not about judgment. Does that behavior work for you? And a lot of us have to come to points where we slam into a wall or get fired from a job or one thing or another. And we come to this point and we go, what am I doing? I sit in a meeting.
Bottom.
Yeah.
Rock meets bottom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So David, let's talk about the opportunity cost of holding on to the illusion of these skill sets. Because there's nobody who's listening in the show or is going to listen in the future who doesn't need to do this. The three of us included. There's something right now, like, what would be a good way to go about this? Maybe creating a list of 4 or 5 of our top skill sets, and then asking why they're a skill set. Where did they come from? Are they really truly serving us? Because I can tell you right now, I could say, oh, my communication skills are important, my listening skills are important, and all these things. But half of these things, to your point, these are a beautiful attachment to the mask I wear that were a defense mechanism of yesteryear. Now, you're right on point, and I'm aware of this, but sometimes we miss some. Some of these things may be in service in some parts of my life, but they're a massive detriment in another. Maybe perfectionism, if I'm a CPA, is fantastic, but is it great when I'm dealing with my 15-year-old daughter? Do this, And so to these points, and that's another thing too. I mean, everybody listening right now, and we said the word perfectionism, goes, oh, I do that, but it's not a bad thing. I'm sure somebody's saying that. Like, what do you suggest to people to do to take that hyper analysis and start looking at some of these things and taking a closer look? Is this a skill set or a defense mechanism to hold me in place till I'm safe?
Right. The way you can do that is you can look at where you're leaking energy, right? Where are you leaking energy? A very common conversation I have with my clients is, I'm not sure why my success in business has not translated to success in other areas of my life, right? Because they find me because they're like Googling stuff like why do I always date the same asshole, right? Right? And it's these patterns. What I run a 7-figure business. I run an 8-figure business. How come I can't find a guy to date, right? And so the original problem doesn't look anything like what we're going to find. And so I say, where are you leaking energy? If you are leaking energy, your example is perfect. If you are leaking energy in your family relations because you are taking something that works really, really well over here, applying it over here, and you are leaking energy because it's not effective over here, it is a coping mechanism that you are trying to apply everywhere. Skill sets are skill sets everywhere, right? If you are a really great driver, just amazing, like baby driver level, like if you are a really great driver, then what you don't do is go like playing Ronin through the city everywhere you go. You know when it is time to slow down, you know when it is time to go the speed limit, and you know when it is time to absolutely floor it and get out of the way of the maniac that's doing whatever behind you, because you're aware, because you see that means that skill set works.
David, can you tell my wife that, if you don't mind? No, I'm serious. I kind of want to go get her, and I want you to repeat that, because I always go, what was the show where he's like, I'm a very good driver? What was that movie?
Was that movie Baby Driver?
No, it's the one with Dustin Hoffman, Rain Man. Remember, he goes,
Rain
Man,
Man,
good driver.
I'm a good driver.
I joke my wife, I go, I'm a very good driver. And she goes, you almost, I go, keyword almost, never get in an accident, almost. And I say that, I go, I drive slow when need be, and I get out of the way when we're crazy. I didn't mean to interrupt, but you just described my driving, and I get yelled at that all the time. Is that a coping mechanism, or am I a good driver? I'm not sure.
If you've never been in an accident and you never kill anybody, I don't know. I think that's probably a skill set. Yeah. If you're anything like me and you were stealing cars at 13, then you're a pretty good driver. And you know exactly when to not be a spectacle on the road, right? I live here in LA, and I was just commenting to my wife, every time, 4 drops of rain hit the road, you see every knucklehead in a Mustang breaking the ass end loose, on the now wet and oily pavement.
Oily pavement.
Really,
we get the same thing in Texas. The second it rains, everyone's spinning out and hitting guardrails.
Right. And those are not amazing drivers, because the amazing drivers
would have known that.
Know that there's oil all over the road, know that they're going to get about 180, 190 degrees around, then their tires are going to grab and they're going to launch into the Circle K,
and just grab a Slurpee and then head right out.
Right. So look where you're leaking energy. Look where it is costing you when those same old behaviors that you keep trying to apply, because at some point you were rewarded from them. Look, absolutely every single defective character that I have because at one moment in my life it worked.
Right.
It worked. 100%. I learned how to lie because at one moment it worked. When I was very young, I learned, like I tell this story to a lot of people, and I tell it to my clients a lot. Like, I don't know anything about anger. I have no context for anger. I can't even mess with it. I learned very young that people back away from rage, right? And so, like in like the 4th grade, I learned that when I was getting bullied, if I stood up and flipped over a table, like everybody took 3 steps back, everybody, right? And so I learned in that moment to go from 0 to rage, right? And learned very quickly that served me, until in my late teens and early 20s, when I'm out homeless, I'm out doing other things, I'm out being doing my dirt, and I go from 0 to rage and just get the tar kicked out of me, get stabbed or get whatever, because I tried rage on the wrong audience. You have
to be careful about the company you keep in those situations, because that's when the inflection point comes, that where you get to turn around and go, oh wait, that's not going to work for me anymore. I just want to acknowledge our team here, that we're here, the Unfiltered Experience, the Unfiltered crew. We got Nelly in the house, we got Lucy in the house, we got Randy in the house. He says, hey friends. We got Monique in the house. Thank you, Monique. Monique says here, I never look down on anyone. We have flaws. I would help the person. Food is also an addiction as well.
100%.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And we got Lee in the house. My brother Lee, he says, yes, being mindful of who and where we are in the relationship and our illness on a daily basis is crucial. Yes, Lee speaks from experience. We got Mike Phillips in the house. What's up, Mike? Good to see you, brother. He's been following me on Clubhouse as well, and we're friends on Facebook. Thank you, brother, for being here. He says, happy Friday. Mary Kay, our fellow coach, she says, coping mechanisms masquerading as skill sets. Brilliant. Absolutely. And Mike is also saying here, he goes, anything used in excess can be a bad thing, but it isn't always. That's true. Mary Kay says here, Oh my God, I say that professional success not translating into my personal life / dating life. Yes, we got Colleen in the house. What's up, Colleen? Good to see you,
Colleen.
sister. She says, hello, everyone. Happy Friday. I want to shift gears here for a second because we've been talking about addictions and we've kind of got to the end result of what happens in some situations, but we've been involved in obviously COVID for the last 2 years. And a lot of people have been stressed and overwhelmed and have anxiety and have been going to those short-term gratifications to deal with things. What has been your experience with your clients and people you've been dealing with during this time to get them to refocus out of that victim mindset and be more responsible and aware of what they can do to break free from those habits and those patterns?
First off, recognizing where you're turning to comfort, and what's triggering a turn to comfort. And so one of the biggest conversations right now is recognizing that we, particularly Americans as a country, depending on where you start the clock, are about 7 years into a mass sympathetic nervous state, right? We have been, as a country, locked in fight or flight for about 7 years, right?
What makes you say 7?
It's about the time that Trump threw his name into the hat, right? And I am not here to have a political conversation in any way, but the minute he got into it, he will go down in history as the guy who changed American discourse. Like, he changed the way we talk about politics. He changed the way. And whether you love him, whether you hate him, I have zero horse in that race, and I'm not bringing it into this conversation. But for about the last 7 years, regardless of where you stand, you have been watching what you believe is your way of life being dismantled in front of you, right? Like from the Trumpiest Trumpublican that ever trumped to the most sticks and twigs, granola eating a tree hugger there ever was. You are watching what you believe is your way of life being dismantled. Whether you're pro-vax or anti-vax, you are watching what people are saying, and you're not understanding. You're not, and so all of these things, regardless of what you think is of COVID, whether you think it's this huge global pandemic or whether you think it's a hoax, like from wherever you stand, you are watching your beliefs being like ripped apart, and you're watching sort of your world in chaos, right? As we become more polarized, and we as a collective have been locked in fight or flight for about 7 years as the result. And so what I do is, when we're dealing with overwhelm, when we're dealing with stress, and so if you're tired, if you're exhausted, if you just can't bring the energy that you used to, you are not alone. You are not weird. You are not broken. You're exhausted. Give yourself a break. Like, you're exhausted. It's okay. I find, and I'm a huge extrovert. I'm a huge energy bringer. Christopher, I know you are too. And I, for myself, have found it more and more difficult as each month has gone by in the last 4 or 5 years to go back to that well and bring the same level of energy and the same level of intensity. Like, I'm tired. I'm tired. And so what we're focusing on right now is shifting out of fight or flight, shifting back into our parasympathetic nervous system, shifting back into rest and digest. The name of the game is first get calm, then get clear. If you are stuck in your sympathetic nervous system, if you're stuck in fight or flight, then your little amygdala is running the show. Your little lizard brain is making 20,000-year-old decisions in a modern world. You have no access to your frontal lobe. You have no access to higher cognitive function. And have you guys ever been so stressed out and you tried to think your way out of it and found that you just spiraled? we as a society have been doing that for now about 7 years. Right? So in dealing with COVID, in dealing with a social political situation, in dealing with the environmental situation, in dealing with all this, whatever it is that just you watch on the news and you just like the blood runs from your face. If you can take a moment, realize you're in a sympathetic state. Realize that you feel that you are personally in danger in that moment, which is why you feel the way you feel. Take a moment. Deep breath. Rub your arms. Rub your chest. Like, understand. I am safe. Like, I am not in danger in this moment. I am safe. Take a few deep breaths. 4, 4, 6, 2 breathing. Inhale for a count of 4. Hold for a count of 4. Exhale for a count of 6. Hold for a count of 2. Repeat it about 4 times. Rub your hands together. Rub your forearms. What you're doing is you are telling your body that it is safe. Because until your body believes that it is safe, your mind is never going to get that message. The body sends 60 times more information to the brain than the brain sends to the body. You can never think your body into feeling safe, but your body can tell your brain that you are. And the minute you do that, now you get access to your frontal lobe. Now you get access to higher levels of cognition. And now you can go, what's the fear? What am I actually afraid of? What is happening in my world in this moment that I'm reacting to? I learned this years ago in professional kitchens when the stress level was so high and I had to take a second, stop, turn around, couple deep breaths. Like, my body's safe. Nobody's starving to death. I'm just fine. The place is just fine. Okay, turn around. What needs to happen first? And because you can't stop in that moment. I was on the line at Spago. I was at the Peninsula Beverly Hills. Like, I was in these really amazing places, and stopping and kind of getting your shit together wasn't an option. Like, you got to be able to do it right now. And so I spent 30 years of my life learning how to manage my nervous system, and now I teach it. So if you can get calm, if you can take a moment and get calm and then begin asking the questions. What am I really worried about? What is the situation really? What is the problem that I'm facing? What is the actual problem that I'm trying to solve? Then you can look at this instead of just comfort. I just don't want to feel it. I just don't want to feel it.
The short-term stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a sympathetic reaction. What you're doing is you're covering your eyes, whether you're eating, doing drugs, porn, sex, shopping, gambling, whatever it is.
That was my afternoon.
Right?
That's just a Thursday.
Yeah. What you're doing is going like this instead of going like this. What is really going on? Open your eyes. Take a deep breath. What's really going on?
I can tell you what's going on. Jackson is painting a car right now. Sorry.
Jackson's painting a car.
No, I'm whatever it is, it is. But what you're saying, Dave, and I love that, is one of the questions I love to ask. I'm a huge fan of questions. Is what am I making this to mean about me? That's for me. That's a self-centering question. If I find myself in an anxious situation, a fight or flight situation, an anger situation, what am I making this to mean about me? Because we talk about it all the time on the show. We're all mirrors for each other. So it's like, what is it internally that I need to get? And this is something we've been talking about in the show tonight, is getting to the root core of something. So I love what you're saying in that respect, Scott.
What does this mean? Has never in your life led to a super positive response. What does this mean? Never in your life has a super positive response come from, what does this mean? Like,
the ultimate response can be positive if you address that question.
Right. That's what I look at. When we ask it in fear, when we're trying to figure out, we're trying to mitigate circumstances, right? What does it mean? Well, if this happens, then I'm going to have to do this, and then they're going to do this, then I'm going to have to do this, and this is going to be. What does this mean? Has never yielded a positive response until we get calm, and then we can go, okay, what meaning am I making of this?
Right. Is
a different question.
Mm-hmm. Scott, did you have something?
No. I'm enjoying. Oh. So here's where my brain's at. I love the calm before clarity, and I'm all on board. I mean, you already knew what I'd be thinking because you know both of us. And so I'm loving that. And I'm simultaneously just visualizing all the things we're talking about and watching Jackson painting the car as my ADHD mind is going there.
No, well, we've already been talking for 50 minutes. One thing I want to capture on what you said, Dave, and then I want people to know where they can get a hold of you is you said something about, progressively month to month, you're not feeling you're able to go back to that well of that sense of energy. Talk to us about that. Talk to us about how important it is to retain our sense of connection to self and also connection to the world outside of us. Because I know in certain situations I'm seeing people breaking off into factions. Like I only want to talk to people who do this, and we're not connecting and really having true conversations. I've had a couple of situations this week where people have posted things online where I've sat there and normally I scroll past it. I've actually reached out to the people and go, what was your intention for that? I'm like really seeking to connect with people on their level and on their ground to really understand where it is that they're coming from. How important is it for us to connect in our world today instead of retreat?
Connection is absolutely the new currency. It is absolutely the new currency. Connection enables, and it goes back to the very beginning of this conversation. Connection enables empathy, right? When I can connect with other human beings, regardless of what I want, right? Regardless of outcomes that I want, when I can connect and I can listen to you and I can see you as a human, and we can have like completely opposing personal views, political views, social views. I mean, you could have views that I view as downright evil, right? And I can still go and I can connect with you, listen to you, and go, like, however you came upon those views, you came upon them fairly, right? Like you didn't, like we can only be the product of where we came from. And so when we connect, look at all the networking that we do, look at all the social media is networking. It's connection. It is connection. And so when we talk in business, right? We're marketing. We talk about leveraging our email lists. Those are points of connection. And you and I, and you, Scott, we all know that those email lists are only as useful as the connections I have with each single one. If I have never met that person, if I've never spoken to that person, if that person has zero connection to me, I just happen to have their email, the chances of them responding in any sort of personal way to regardless of whether they need exactly what I'm trying to peddle or not, connection is the currency. Because now when I know I need some help, I'm going to go back to the person who was kind to me. I'm going to go back to that person that I connected with. I'm going to go back to those people that I spent some time with, back to the guy who listened to me. I had a ton of reps, when I was working in professional kitchens. Everybody wanted a minute of my time and a slice of my budget. Like everybody wanted something. Right. And the ones who got it were the ones who knew what my schedule was, knew when I was at my desk and not standing in the kitchen. The ones who knew to call me and make an appointment with me. The guys who asked me about my kid, the guys who I could talk jujitsu with, regardless of whether they were interested in jujitsu, they knew I was in, and they made it a point to make those connections. When I make connections with people, the thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tell me what's awesome. Tell me what's good. Tell me what you're struggling with right now. And I'm going to make sure that I hear them. I'm going to make sure that they feel heard. How amazing is it when you feel heard? How much more likely are you to go to the next step when you feel heard? Connection is absolutely the next currency. It is absolutely what is going to define your ability to be successful in a world of cryptos and NFTs and Web3s and everything else. People still want connection, and it's more important than ever.
Amen on that. Amen.
Awesome. Where can people get a hold of you? I know we've got your website. Where can people get a hold of you to be able to continue this conversation? We've already been going for 55 minutes. It's crazy.
Right. No, you can find me on my website. You can find me on probably most easily on Facebook, social media. I'm on Instagram, although my dog has a better Instagram presence than I do. I have a 90-pound pit bull that's got an amazing Instagram page. But no, most easily you find me through my website, email. Like my phone number is on my website. Call me. Like shoot me a text, go to my Facebook, and that's the easiest way to find me.
And for those listening, it's www.become-limitless.com.
Right. Become-limitless.com.
There you go.
Awesome. Well, Dave Gieselman, thank you so much for being here. I'm gonna capture a couple of more comments before we let you go into the back area. Let me see. Nelly from Hooked on Humanity says here, all of this is applicable in many areas of life. Very good ideas here tonight. Thank you so much for being here, Nelly.
Thanks, Nelly.
Colleen says here, I've had COVID twice, each time lasting over something or other. I think this is over. Sorry about that, Colleen. Hope you're doing better. Nelly says here, I don't know about that. No one dismantled my life and quest for a greater way of humanity and a better world. All Trump did was, we'll skip that one right now. We're having that conversation. Colleen says back here, over 30 days, kicked my ass. Oh, wow. I'm glad hope you're better. I know that's some of that stuff's got long lasting effects. Nelly says here, humanity will remain a constant state of fight or flight as long as those.
Best voice.
All right.
I mean, you can say it. She wrote it. She's one of our friends. You can say it.
I know.
It's just not the conversation we're trying to have right now.
I totally agree with you. I agree with you.
Lee, we are having to relearn and learn for the first time in some cases how to have conscious dialogue, finding points of agreement and understanding differences rather than simply making each other wrong. Amen, Lee. That's
100%.
what we're talking about.
100%.
That's what we're talking about. I tried to do that this week and it went sideways, and I wish that person well. So that was a good thing. I tried. Victoria I can't have my glasses on, but thank you so much here. She says here hello from Louisiana. Thank you for being here. Lee said here, yes, definitely connection is currency. Bravo. Yes, connection is key. Mary Kay chimes in here with the conversation. She goes, always bring your SHUs. Make sure you are seen, heard, understood, and connect.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely. Mary Kay, thank you so much for that. Nelly saying LOL. Yeah, I'll get to your comments. I'll definitely address them in a different way. She goes, it's okay. I know you're trying not to go there. Peace to all. Yes, thank you. We have an amazing crew. We call them the Unfiltered crew. So man,
and they're being unfiltered. So they're doing what we asked them to do.
Absolutely. Dave, this has been an amazing conversation, brother. I hope people connect with you. I'm going to place you backstage here just for a second. Don't go anywhere. Scott and I are going to finish out the show, but this has been awesome. Appreciate you and be well. Hang on one sec. There you go, Scott. Another hour passed by. The Unfiltered Experience. What are your overall thoughts on the conversation tonight, and what can we send people away with in your terms of what you gained from this conversation?
We're going to invite Dave back, and we're going to have a show all about connection being the new currency because, it's funny. One of the things that COVID definitely gave us was the opportunity to realize that. And without COVID, without some kind of chaos, I don't think people were going to realize that. Because I'll tell you this. Back in 1993, I was managing a health club, and we had 3 managers on duty, and everyone would run out and go to corporations, and they'd always be trying to sign up stuff outside the club. And it was all about more. And you know what I did? I walked up to every single person in the club and said, how are you doing? Are you okay today? Is everything good? And guess what happened? My numbers went through the roof. Everyone said, how are you doing it? I tried to tell them, and they said, you're lucky. And I'm like, okay. And they drove around and went to corporations. I'm like, guys, just connect. And I felt like it was so far before my time because I got into high-tech sales. And I'm like, just be nice to people, just connect. And they're like, you got to call more. You got to get on the phone. You got to create a funnel. I'm like, just go be good to people. Just let them remember you. And I'd sell a lot, but people still argued with me. They're like, no, you've got to do more. You've got to have this. You've got to make more calls. I'm like, and so listening to Dave say that and knowing that people are starting to process that, I almost want to be like, go back in time, be like, I told you so, but it doesn't matter. We're saying it here and now. And so I really want to bring Dave back on. I'm sure he will come on. And I want to have that connection, that show about connection being the new currency, because connection I love the fact that everyone from LinkedIn sends me cold messages and I ignore them all. To his point, even if I need the product, I ignore it because I'm like, I do not like the way you're doing it. And I will literally go find someone else, even though you might have been the perfect scenario for me. And so I love the fact that we're all starting to go to, this person was good to me, I'm going to be good to them. We're going to have a connection and exchange. And I love it. So I want to thank Dave for that because he really got me back into that present state of connection. And so I loved it. 10
Absolutely.
out of 10. 10 out of 10 stars, Chris.
10 out of 10 stars. Awesome. Awesome. Lee says people just want to know that you care about each other. You know, that's so true. I mean, the connection's the currency. One of the things that I pride myself on, as you know, Scott, is, you know, after all these shows, I go back and I address all the comments. I connect with people. I ask people how they're doing. I go through and I shuffle my messages and I check in, you know, brother check in, sister check in. How you guys doing? And, you know, a lot of people tell me, like, one of the things they love about me is the fact that I do care and I walk my talk, and I really, no matter what side of the fence you're on or whatever opinions you might have, I reach out and I have those conversations. And that really is true. I mean, when you connect and the thing that he said I love as well is when we listen, when we truly listen to understand, and we be able to paraphrase back to somebody what it is that they said, you know, having that ability, they could trust you, they can sit there and they can respect you and say, hey, listen, even if we don't agree, I feel confident and I could be honest and transparent with you, which is a feeling a lot of people don't get to get. So when we connect and we do that, seek first to understand, then to be understood, it's amazing. The other thing I loved what he said really is about taking ownership about where it is that we're at in our journey and having that, what I call the AAA threat, you know, being aware, having the acceptance responsibility of taking responsibility and not blaming other people, and then taking action on that and doing that work. You know, oftentimes people say the work is hard and it's challenging. Oh, it's going to be this, it's going to be that. But at the end of the day, will it be worth it? Absolutely. It's going to be worth it because, like you was saying before, you reach back into the well, you pull somebody up. That's what you and I have done with our lives. We have taken the hero's journey. We've talked about it, Joseph Campbell, on YouTube. If you guys have never seen it, go look at it, please. It's an hour and 20 minutes or something like that. It's an amazing documentary about the hero's journey. But again, we take that and we repurpose our trash when we make it our treasure. We're able to lift the vibration of the planet. We're able to open ourselves up to so much more abundance, so much more a connection. I mean, I look at, you know, social media in some respects, like this week has been frustrating with me, but I also look at it as how many people I have met through this process. I've met you literally. It was kind of social media, but it was through our podcasting network and all the other beautiful people that I met through social media. It's been absolutely phenomenal. So I love the conversation. We'll definitely have Dave back. Mary Kay says a heart-centered approach to everything will not fail you. Yes, yes, yes. Live with our heart. So yes. And Robert says here, you're doing it right, Scott. Absolutely. So yeah. And I can't remember who we have up next week, but we will be back here, guys, every Friday night. Put it in your calendar, 5 p.m.
Might be Lee.
Pacific Standard Time. It might be Lee next week.
I think Lee might be next week. And then after that, we had Michelle, exactly. I think we're talking about plant medicine. So we got some great people coming up. That's all we know, and it's worth being here.
Yes, it is. It is. And always go to www.theunfilteredexperience.com for anything you want to know about us. Join our Facebook page and our Facebook groups. We're going to be more active there in 2022 than ever. So we want you guys to be there, continue the conversation over there, ask us questions at any time, reach out. If you know if there's a guest that could be on the Unfiltered Experience that you think that would add value, that would jive with both Scott and myself, and even maybe not jive with us, send us a message and let us know. We'll be happy to have a conversation with them and have them potentially on the show. That's what we're all about. We want you guys included in this conversation every single week. So we love you. Go out there and be the change that you bitch about. Go out there and take the words of advice that we've shared between myself, Scott, and Dave, and connect with somebody. Connect with somebody you disagree with. Seek first to understand, and we promise you your life will open up in positive ways, and you'll have a different perspective about things. And that's what it is that we do here on the Unfiltered Experience. We love you guys. I love you, Scott. And go out there and have a brilliant weekend, guys. We'll see you here next week on the Unfiltered Experience.
Love you, superstar.